In the previous clip, we have created this OpenDetailView event class, but we haven't renamed the file in the Solution Explorer. Since Visual Studio 2017, you can place the cursor behind the class and you can press Ctrl- to rename the file to OpenDetailView event. Now let's continue with the AfterFriendDeleted event. This event is published by the FriendDetailViewModel when a friend has been deleted. The MainViewModel and also the NavigationViewModel subscribe to that event to clean up the item. Now I want to rename this event to AfterDetailDeleted event. So I press F2 and I remove friend here and I insert detail. We also need to know which detail is deleted, so we need to introduce a specific EventArgs class. And I call the class AfterDetailDeleted EventArgs. Like on the OpenDetailView event, we need an ID and a viewModel name. So I just copy these items and I paste them here, but the ID is in this case not nullable. Now let's use these EventArgs for the AfterDetailDeleted event. I place the cursor behind the class to rename this file also to AfterDetailDeleted event. Now let's go to the FriendDetailViewModel where we publish that event. Here we have the delete command and the onDeleteExecute method. So I right-click here and I say go to definition. Here you see the call to the publish method for that AfterDetailDeleted event, but we just pass in the friend ID, which is not sufficient anymore. We need to pass in new AfterDetailDeleted EventArgs. And on these EventArgs, we have an ID property that we can set to the friend ID, and we also have the viewModel name property that we set to the name of the viewModel, in this case the FriendDetailViewModel. Now we are done with publishing this event with the correct information. The next step is to clean up the code in the MainViewModel. In the MainViewModel, we subscribe to the AfterDetailDeleted event. The method is called AfterFriendDeleted. I press F12 to go to that method. I press F2 to rename it to AfterDetailDeleted, and the parameter in this case is AfterDetailDeleted EventArgs. I copy the name of the method as the renaming didn't work again. So I scroll up and I paste the name here where we subscribe to the AfterDetailDeleted event. Now we are done already in the MainViewModel and we can go to the NavigationViewModel. In the NavigationViewModel, we also subscribe to the AfterDetailDeleted event. So I select the AfterFriendDeleted method here and I press F12. Here we also need to change the parameter to AfterDetailDeleted EventArgs. And we also rename the method from AfterFriendDeleted to AfterDetailDeleted. And as we know, the renaming didn't work in this case, and I scroll up, oh, and in this case it worked. So maybe it was a user error before, maybe I didn't hit enter correctly or something else happened on my machine. Who knows, but the code looks good here. Let's scroll down again to the AfterDetailDeleted method. Here we have friend-specific code. From the friends property in the NavigationViewModel, we remove a friend if it exists with this friend ID. So instead of the friend ID, we can use here the ID property of our AfterDetailDeleted EventArgs. But we also create a switch statement here, where we switch by viewModel name. So in case of the FriendDetailViewModel, we want to execute that code that we have already in this method. And now if we create another DetailViewModel, we just need to create an additional case in this switch statement. So now we are done with the AfterDetailDeleted event. Let's continue now with the AfterDetailSaved event. Here I've opened the AfterFriendSaved event, and we also make this event friend independent. So I rename it to AfterDetailSaved event. I also rename the EventArgs to AfterDetailSaved EventArgs. As for the other events, we also need the information here about the viewModel. So I add here a property of type string and I call it viewModelName. I place the cursor behind the class and I press Ctrl- to rename the file also to AfterDetailSaved event. Now let's go to the FriendDetailViewModel where we publish this event. In the FriendDetailViewModel we have the save command, and that command is using the onSaveExecute method. After we have saved a friend, we publish the AfterDetailSaved event. So here we just need to set in addition the viewModelName property of the AfterDetailSaved EventArgs, and we set it to the name of the FriendDetailViewModel. Now we can go to the navigation view model where we subscribe to that event. So here in the constructor you can see that we subscribe to the after_detail saved event. The method is still called after_friend_saved. I click on the method and I press F12. Now let's rename this method to after_detail saved. I press F2 and I write here after_detail saved. Now inside of this method we have again friend-specific code. So as usual, let's use a switch statement here and let's switch by view model name of our event args. In case of the friend detail view model, we want to execute the logic that we have already. So after this logic, I add the break and I close the switch statement. Now for additional detail view models, we can just include an additional case here. Now let's run the application and let's see if this works. I select a friend, I change the friend, so I add my second name and I click the save button. And you can see the navigation has been updated. I remove the second name again, I click save, and the navigation updates. So our logic with the new view model name information works. Now let's see what else we can refactor in the friend organizer application. In the previous clips, we have changed these event classes in the friend organizer application so that we can reuse them for different detail views. But we have still one bug in our application, at least one bug I know about. Let me show it to you. So I run the application. When I try to create a new friend, we get an exception in the onOpenDetailView method in the main view model. When we try to access the view model name property of the OpenDetailView event args, we get a null reference exception. As you can see, the args are null. When I open up the call stack window, you can see that this method has been called by the onCreateNewFriendExecute method, so I double click here. In the onCreateNewFriendExecute method, we just pass a null argument to the onOpenDetailView method. So instead of passing null, we should pass here new OpenDetailView event args, and we should set the view model name property to the name of the friend detail view model. Instead of hard-coding this command handler to the friend detail view model, we can also use a more generic approach. I add a parameter here in this method that is of type type, and I call it viewModelType. Now I can use that parameter here instead of the name of the friend detail view model, and I just grab the name from that type. Now I think you agree that the implementation of this onCreateNewFriendExecute method is friend independent. So let's rename that method. I press F2 and I rename it to onCreateNewDetailExecute. Now let's scroll up in this main viewModel class. You can see that the method is used for a delegate command that is stored in the createNewFriend command property. Now the renaming didn't work, so I adjusted manually here. It's still underlined in red because it doesn't match the signature that is required for the delegate command. In this case, we need to use the generic delegate command class and then we can specify the type of the parameter. In this case, we want to have the type of the view model. Besides renaming the method, I also want to rename the property from createNewFriend command to createNewDetail command. So I hit F2 and I rename it. Now when I go again to the execute method, we need to provide that parameter from the user interface. So I open up the main window where we have the menu item to create a new friend. Here you can see the menu item and it binds to the createNewFriend command property of the main view model. But we have renamed this property, so let's call it here also createNewDetail command. To pass in a parameter to the execute method, we use the command parameter property on that menu item. And here we can just use the xType markup extension to pass in the type for the friend detail view model. When I scroll up a bit, you can see that we used the friend detail view model already here for the data template. So we have already that view model namespace mapping. I scroll down again, and here on the command parameter property I use the view model namespace to access the friend detail view model class. Now we have assigned the type friend detail view model to the command parameter property. Now I run the application again. Let's go to the main view model and let's add a breakpoint here. I try to create a new friend and our onCreateNewDetailExecute method is called, and the viewModelType parameter contains the type friend detail view model. So the viewModel name property of the OpenDetailView event args will be set to friendDetailViewModel. And this is correct, so I can continue, and you see we get the screen to create a new friend. So I just add a new friend here, and I click Save, and the friend is now in the Friend Organizer application. Now let's see what else we can refactor in the Friend Organizer application.